Oops, I got the wrong backdrop. Darn it. Hi, everybody. Let me change my backdrop there. Don't want to upset anybody. So we'll do that and we'll use that one instead. There you go. Okay. I had my CAR backdrop. I was in a leadership meeting yesterday with them. So sorry about that. Anyway, thank you all for being here today. I very much appreciate the value of your time. That's funny because it doesn't show that I'm actually on it, but all right. I'm assuming you all can see me okay. Hi, Danita. Welcome back. Tyler, good to see you. We are at the Greater San Diego Association of Realtors, and my name is Kevin Burke, and there is my email address. There is my telephone number. And again, I'd love to speak with you if you have a question, anything I can help you with. I feel like I'm ordained to do that. I know when I started in real estate well over 40 years ago, there were people that helped me do what I'm doing essentially today. And so I want to help you. So if you'll please let me know, what I can do to do that. Hi, Tom. Welcome back. And so there's my phone number. Email is probably the easiest way. Let's set up a time when we can actually talk. Today, for example, I'm on from 10 to 12 and 2 to 4. But I go to bed at 1 in the morning, so it doesn't really seem to compromise a lot of stuff that I do. So let's do that. I have some credentials. I took out the fact that I was the chair of the rules committee for the MLS, which is kind of appropriate for today. But I took that out because I felt that I never, had a meeting, so I can't imagine that I was there. But 40 plus years, I have a broker's license in several states. I do teach continuing education for attorneys at UCSD, and I have taught in so many 3 colleges simultaneously, actually, and that was fun. I enjoyed doing that. But however, I decided I wanted to work with people that were actually in real estate that wanted to do better than they were currently doing. So that's kind of why we're where we are here today. So on the right hand side, lots of risk management stuff. So we'll talk about those a little bit today. We're going to be talking about stuff that's going to appear to be legal. I am not a practicing attorney. My trial work is limited to testifying as an expert witness. And so I'm a court certified expert witness. Standard of care is my specialty. Agents' duties of inspection and disclosure, and market conditions in San Diego County. So that being said, conversation today is not intended to be a substitute for the advice of your broker, nor for that of your attorney. Please consult with them as appropriate. So our webinars are intended to be interactive. You would help me out tremendously. Please utilize the Q&A button to ask questions, offer input. I do look forward to hearing from you. And so it helps me to shape the direction that we're going. And again, I'm a broker practitioner as you are, and so I use these same tools that I'm going to be talking to you about today in the furtherance of my business. And Linda said a nice comment about me the other day. She said, I was talking to her, she was asking me about something in one of the programs, and I was going through it with no computer in front of me because I've just kind of got a fairly photographic memory. Not everybody has that, but she said a nice thing when she said, it's just amazing how you can remember the screen and guide people through it. I've done that while on the freeway, things like that. So if I can help you, please let me know. I've probably got a pretty good handle on it. So welcome to MLS week, as I call it. So we literally, today's classes, we're going to have 2 classes today. The first one, which we're going to do now, is going to be our collaboration center. It's going to change the way you do business. I'm going to make your life so much easier. This is the tool. It really is. And we'll talk about that and why that's so very important. You and I have the same 24 hours in our day. I'm amazed at what I get done in 24 hours. And hopefully you're having that same experience. So this afternoon, I'll be back to talk about Fast Stats. I just think Fast Stats is just the bomb. I mean, that is the coolest thing. The Fast Stats program allows you to create marketing pieces that you can carry around with you and hand out to people. Their color slides, stuff like that. I'm even going to show you how to put your brand on it, even though they've taken it off the website. I'm going to show you how to do it anyway, so that you can create your own brand, your phone number, your references to the department, stuff like that. So, and your brokerage. Okay. So I'll talk about that this afternoon. Now we're going to take a break. Thursday of this week, I'm not teaching anything. They felt that some of my classes were becoming redundant. And so the following Tuesday, I will be doing MLS open house safety in the morning. And then in the afternoon, I'll be doing my banner class, I will go down in history, how to read a preliminary title report. I have yet to have anybody explain it to me properly. And I know I brought in the title officer for a very large title company to speak at my law class a couple of years ago. And every other sentence was, but whatever Professor Burke tells you. And I said, will you stop saying that? We want to get your perspective of these things. And of course, I'll tune everything up later. It's okay. So, but anyway, it's a great class. We have a lot of fun in that. Yes, it's 2 hours. Yes, you will be riveted to your seat. It's always fun. Okay. So I'll make it fun. Somebody said to me, I think it was Linda again, said to me that I have the ability to make the driest of subjects entertaining. So we'll do that. I think we'll have some fun with that. On that note, I wanted to mention that I know San Diego is doing now. They're doing their they're hooked into Tom Ferry. I like Tom. I think he's great. And I know they're getting pretty good attendance on that. Again, different mindset as to what he teaches versus what I teach. I am going to start doing my own podcast. Now, all my webinars are loaded up onto our YouTube station. I'm going to start doing podcasts, which are shorter casts for things. I've learned a lot. In fact, I'm doing one for the Department of Real Estate on Friday. They've asked me to do a podcast on the legal documentation and first-time home buyers and things like that. So I will be taping it on Friday, and then I think they release it on the following Thursday, but I will let you know when that's coming out. So I'll have more information from them on Friday. And so I like working with the Department of Real Estate. We're here to protect people, right? And so we have an opportunity to get the message out. And so I've actually learned a lot from them. I really enjoy my interaction. So hopefully you do too. They're hardworking people. So that being said, if you're not getting my newsletter, then that's where I'm going to be announcing the location for the podcasts. In the meantime, last week I was up in Oakland doing the RPA for 5 hours. I did a 5-hour class on the RPA. That has been DRE approved. And that class itself was not a DRE approved class because they have to tell them 90 days in advance where I'm going to be speaking. And so my default is SDAR, but now others are asking me to do that same talk. So I will be doing it. It looks like I'll be doing it in Monterey. I'll be doing it in Sacramento, and then I'll be doing it again in Long Beach next year. So, but I'm trying to kind of hope we can get them done here. But again, I got to give them 90 days notice. So, and in addition to that, I've got the BRBC, so the Buyer Representation Agreement. And the way I teach it, you would never work with a buyer without it. So, and I know that the jury is deliberating on the Burnett case right now, the lawsuit over buyer commissions and stuff like that, buyers agents commissions and things like that. So that's just going to reinforce the fact that you really need to have a buyer representation agreement. Okay, so that being said, lots of interesting news. Member benefits. Thank you for joining us. We're going to talk about Paragon Collaboration Center, a very similar program. I'm not sure if they have that with the Matrix version, but clearly with our Paragon version, they're going to have that. So what is the Collaboration Center and how is it different from what we're already doing? And so I like to start off with my Star Wars theme, and I haven't figured out how to get it to roll, but decades ago, and I mean decades ago, and I remember I've been doing this since 1979. So the MLS when I started was the blue books. Okay, so you had ink all over your fingers and all that. So decades ago, in a land far, far away, we created the ability of agents to send client handouts. Remember, you may not send an agent handout. You may only send a client handout. And the reason behind that is because it has the client handout has redacted contact information for the seller's agent. It gives them credit, but you don't want to send an agent handout to somebody because it's, first of all, it's a violation, but it also gives them access to alarm codes and things like that. So you definitely don't want to do that. We share with each other the agent handouts, but we never share the client handout. And so in the MLS, when you send a listing out to a buyer to review, it sends it out as a client handout. Okay. It also changes the language in the form to something that they're more familiar with. So instead of ESF, it says estimated square feet, that kind of thing, so that it's easier. It's written in plain English. Is everybody okay with that? There's a benefit to having that. But we started sending out client handouts, and we sent them out via email. And so, okay, I've had to make a lot of changes in my career over the many years, and I can tell you that I remember when we started doing email in the public sector. Anyway, I was working, I worked with the old DOS, the old VAX 1170 computers with the government many decades ago, but then all of a sudden we got the ability to send, the public got ability to send email back and forth, and so. Then we created the ability of the agents. We created the ability, I should probably reword that. We created the ability of agents to create automatic emails. Automatic emails, the bane of our existence. If I tell you, I think it's just ruined it for us. So, but I'm going to show you why this is going to be a great alternative for you, and it'll keep you actively involved in it. So set it and forget it. That's what we called it. We called it set it and forget it. And the problem was we forget it all right, and they forget us. And that's because what? Because 3 months after we set them up on this automatic drip system, and I wouldn't call it that. I mean, it sounds like a disease, but agents call it that. And it's like, first of all, you don't ever want to tell your client that you're just setting them up on an automatic program that sends things out, because then it starts to dehumanize your involvement in the event. And so I want them to think, I'm going to carefully pick through listings as they come on the market, and I will send them to you right away so that you can review them. Okay. And so that's the way I phrase it. I may have set them up on automatic emails, but again, all of my emails were customized. And so I went in and fixed all that stuff. And so we don't even teach that anymore because it's not even the way that we do things. But 3 months later, after you've set them up on that automatic email, we get the message that says the client has unsubscribed, and that is not good, because when the client has unsubscribed, that means they got tired of getting those emails, or worse yet, they found a house and they find it on their own. And so, I get that call from the agent that says, I can't believe my client, did you have a buyer representation agreement with them? Well, no. Well, then you don't have a client. Okay. But they unsubscribed. Well, why did they unsubscribe? Well, because they bought a house. And it's like, and I'm sitting there thinking, so remember me? I'm the guy that was been sending you all these things. And I want to tell you something else, that in your buyer representation agreement, depending on what boxes you check, you are entitled to compensation if they buy that house, but not if all you're doing is sending them automatic emails. You have to do more than that. So for example, you send them emails and there were 10 properties in there, and now you call them on the phone, and which one do you have an interest in? Well, I have an interest in this one. And so if you start going over that, so in other words, you're digging into that particular property, you can be held to have actually done more than just sent them an automatic email. The automatic email won't entitle you to compensation, because many people can be sending them automatic emails. And so, but if you have that conversation with them about that one particular property, you get on a virtual tour, you start going over it with them on the computer, now you're starting to head in a direction where we're going to be able to enforce that agreement. Okay. And I've been able to do this before very successfully. I mean, sometimes those checks were $36,000, for example. Okay. So the client is unsubscribed, very bad. And remember, when they unsubscribe, they can't get emails from the MLS anymore. So, and to get resubscribed is this great big process you have to go through. First of all, it was a great big process to unsubscribe. They had to go through a series of 3 steps in order to be able to unsubscribe. And so to resubscribe, they've got to go through additional steps just to be able to do that. So I wanted you to know that it's not a good thing. Okay. So that's why I think that set it and forget it. I think that's a mistake. You need to be hands-on with the client. And if you don't have, like with me, I can remember things pretty quick. I can get into the MLS pretty fast. And so the client calls me on the phone and says, you sent me this property. Can you tell me about it? I can probably have it up on the screen fairly quickly. And then at that point, I'm going to go through it with them. But I don't want them left alone to do their own thing. I may even look at the list that I've sent them and call them on the phone. Did you see number 4? What do you think about that one? It's got the red tile roofs, it's got all this other stuff going on. So I may actually be involved in it that way. I'm going to use that, any excuse I can come up with to make contact with the client, I'm going to do it, right? So it's like Linda and I have this conversation all the time. Call people on the phone. Stop text messaging. Text messaging is so impersonal. Plus, it has some serious legal problems. So I think you should call them on the phone. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're shy. If you're shy, let's get over that. Okay, let's call them on the phone and talk to them. Okay, but I just see a lot of problems that we have are based on electronic communication versus verbal communication. Okay, so it's like Linda says. I write like a lawyer, right? So she says, whenever you write something, it's clear that you graduated from law school. Yeah, I have to tone that down a little bit sometimes. Okay, so anyway, we think that it's something that we did when they unsubscribe. We think that it's something that we did. No, in fact, it's something we didn't do. Right? We forgot to communicate with the client. We've got to maintain that communication. Okay, again, starting the conversation. Maybe you send a follow-up email. Did you get my message? Things like that. Okay, but automatic emails, we're going to get past that. We thought that the drip system, as we call it, was enough, right? So issues, what wrong email addresses, email goes to their spam folder, email gets lost in ultimate emails, in multiple emails. And the solution I'm going to show you now will get past all of those things. Okay, sometimes it gets inadvertently blocked. So I'll start getting all kinds of stuff from different vendors trying to sell me something, and I may just set up a filter that puts it into the deleted items folder. Okay, so I don't like to have to do that, but if it's just the same, if I'm getting an email every day from somebody and it was an unsolicited email, I'm probably not going to respond well to it. Well, I have a newsletter, and everybody that's on the newsletter opted into the newsletter. They wanted to get the newsletter, and I always tell them, if you don't want, if at any point you don't want to get it, let me know, and I will take you out of the program rather than you unsubscribing, because it makes me look bad. Right? So I'll frequently not unsubscribe from things, but instead create a filter that moves it someplace where I can look at it really fast and then delete it or do whatever. Okay. All right. So to call this primitive would be an understatement. Welcome to the 90s, as Linda said. The answer is right here, and it is the Collaboration Center. And so we're going to take a look at it. It's a free service, okay? So it's provided by your San Diego multiple listing service, all right? All the people that I have taught this to have all come back and said, oh my God, you changed my life. This is so cool. It creates a website for each client search. Okay, so you create the client search, it'll create the website for you, and then it also allows the client to create their own client search. That's a cool thing, right? Imagine they've got limited access to the multiple listing service. Again, they can only see client handouts. They can't see what you see. Okay. All right. And all of this while you're monitoring their progress. You can actually see what they're looking at. Okay, all right, from your program, you're monitoring their choices. They can favorite things, they can reject things, they can undecide things. They haven't responded to it. Then I'm always looking for a favorite or a reject. I'll call them on the phone. You rejected this one property. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you did that? Okay, it's not nothing personal to me. I don't care, right? But that gives me an opportunity to engage them in conversation and to have them, and maybe I'm tuning up my search parameters. Now, there's this really bad saying out there, buyers are liars and sellers are worse. I hate that saying because I don't think it's really true. I think what's really going on is a lot of times they don't know themselves. They don't know themselves what they're looking for. I did a transaction in Steve Point Village in Del Mar off of Carmel Valley Road. The buyer that bought the house had told me when I first met with them, I don't want to buy anything with that black and white checkered kitchen floor. And that is exactly what they bought. So, I said, hey, it's got a black and white checkered floor and they're walking on it. It looks like a chess game, right? Or a what do you call that? Was that a checkers game, right? But they ended up buying the house. And sometimes they just don't know, that they ended up loving the house. So be aware. I'm going to be looking for favorite. Then why? Why? What about that property? What did you call it a favorite? So I'm going to show you how all this works. Okay, so it's kind of a cool thing, and again, it's kind of funny because I don't know that 2 hours is enough time today to do all this, but you know what? This is why I'm going to start doing those little snippets. I'll do the shorter ones, 5 minutes, half an hour, 20 minutes, probably none to exceed it at half an hour, so that you can just go ahead and they'll be indexed in the YouTube program so that you can just go ahead and click on them. And you want to talk about paragraph number 7 of the RPA, and then, you click on that and then you'll have paragraph number 7. So probably the more common one is liquidated damages or arbitration. And again, I teach this to attorneys. And so you'll get a pretty good breakdown, but I'm going to break it down so that, you and I understand how it impacts our business and what it's intended to do in the contract. So you'll start seeing a lot of that. So again, you need to be on the newsletter to know where I am, although people seem to be able to find me okay on the internet. So it's all good. You can communicate with your client on a regular basis. It's complete with their reasoning, okay? On their own time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, available, by the way, both for the buyer and the sellers in real time. So, so I always tell people, I say, and I get this call, people call me all the time. They go, well, we looked it up and it was on Pillow. And I said, Pillow is a broker now, like all the rest of us. They're limited. All they've got is that IDX feed, which is what I have, right? So it's nothing new, but people just I have our own agents go to it. I don't know why. They've got their own IDX solution on their own website. It does even more stuff. So Collaboration Center is the replacement for all of that stuff. So let's take a look at the Collaboration Center wizard, okay, as it is found in Paragon. So I'm going to go ahead and good. Every once in a while, I got to check the screen and make sure you all can see what I'm talking about. So we're going to go up here, and I'm going to pull up. That didn't work well. Hang on a second. There we go. So I'm going to go into the MLS. I've already logged in. Okay, so just so you know, I've already gone past the username and password and all that kind of stuff. Right here, I'm going to click on Paragon. Okay. By the way, this page here that you're looking at, okay, this is called the one page. This is the San Diego one page. All right. So this is the page that you get when you are when you log in. All right. And so you can do a lot of stuff. There's a lot of free services here, a lot of things that you've got access to. Just Knock, RPR. You're paying for RPR is $5 a year. Your Paragon. Your zip forms, all these things, fast stats. We'll be talking about that this afternoon. I'm very excited about that. I always get excited about that one. That was a really cool program. Okay, so that being said, so I'm going to switch this back over to our Paragon. There we go, Paragon screen. And first thing I want to do is I want to go to my preferences right here. Everybody see that? And over here on the right hand side, I've got my preferences wizard, which again, you need to be doing these preferences, especially whether you're early in your career or whether you're like me. I went to law school in the middle of 44 years, and I just decided that I'm just going to stay in real estate. It's just too much fun. I'm making more money than most of the attorneys I know. And but you need to go into here because, you worked really hard to get your license. I don't want you to lose it over a technicality. So in your preferences wizard, that is how you set up your MLS emails that go out so that it has the appropriate information in the signature line. The Department of Real Estate considers your email out of the MLS and out of zip forms, by the way, as first contact. That means that it is subject to the first contact rules, which means you must display your affiliation with your brokerage firm, also an NAR code of ethics requirement, by the way, as well as also do your, have your DRE numbers and as I said, the firm that you're with, your name as it appears on your license, all that kind of stuff. And so preferences wizard, start with that, but we're going to go to the Collab Center preferences wizard. And then I haven't done the CMA class in probably a couple of months, but all of these things, I've already done all these things. You can go to our website, not our website, our YouTube website, which has all of these webinars currently free. When I get into the podcast, we're probably going to do some adjustments to that. So anyway, Collab Center Preferences Wizard, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on it, and it starts off, and I see here the Preferences Wizard. Here it is. Noticing in the lower right-hand corner, I've only got 8 steps. And this is step number 1. So I'm going to hit my start button up here. And so that's going to start the whole process. And then down in here, I want my name essentially as it appears on my license. Now the JD doesn't appear on my real estate license, but the rest of it does. Display the primary phone number. And so I want that. Here is my primary phone number. I don't use I don't give out my cell phone numbers plural. Otherwise my phone would be ringing constantly. And I'm trying to avoid, I just want to give everybody one number. So you call this number right here, you hit extension number 4, and it goes right straight to my phone, wherever I am, whichever cell phone I have with me, whichever number I have with me. Is everybody good with that? I don't have a secondary number in there, but if I wanted one, I would check the box and then it would show up down here. Do I want it to display my email address? Absolutely, I do. I want people to get a hold of me. It's part of the branding. The web page also, I want to make sure I have that. And then I don't have a story video. You would think that I would have a story video. So I'm going to work on a story video today, and then I will come back and I will put that in there. Okay, just because it is something that I've already told Linda I was going to do today. So I always like to follow up and do the things I tell Linda I'm going to do. So my social network. So I don't do Fartbook or whatever it's called, Facebook, whatever it is. I don't do Tweaker. I had accounts there, but it just got way too political. I do LinkedIn because it's for business purposes. And so there's the LinkedIn. You just go into LinkedIn and just type in Kevin M. Burke JD, and that will pull you up. And that's my theme. And so the same thing in Instagram, I really just go in there to, laugh at memes and stuff like that. Linda and I are the typical old married couple. We send memes back and forth to each other at 9 o'clock at night. Kevin M. Burke JD. I may fire Twitter back up again, only because they've gotten away from the political angle that they were taking. My story video link, so I can enter the link to the video here, and not the shareable URL, but the embedded URL. And so obviously your program will tell you you've done that. And then the agent image. And so, I have picked for my image the picture of me taken by Steve at the when I was president of the association. It was a fairly proud moment for me back in 2019. I can't believe it was 4 years ago already. And so I just happened to be standing up there doing the what me worry thing, and he took the picture right at that moment, and I love that picture. So in fact, I'm going to reach out to him and just say thank you again. I just really think that's it. So get a picture that makes you memorable. If you don't like your picture, put your logo, do whatever. Up here at the top, again, I've got this button right here says change my image. I don't know if I should be changing my image, but maybe my picture. but I'm going to keep that picture. I mean, I have a picture of me. This is me in a tux, right? I mean, I just think that's a great picture. But I do have other pictures with me actually wearing ties and stuff. So, and then I have excuse me, remove the image, which I'm not going to do. I love that image. So anyway, that's the way that is. Let's go to my next button here. In my next button, now here's what I would suggest in here. If you're going to put something in here and you put your cursor in there and it doesn't work, hit like the bold button or whatever, and then that'll make it so your cursor works. It's just one of those kind of quirky things about the MLS that goes on. But you'll be able to put this is about me. This is what you want people to look at. And again, I just kind of thrown this in here. What I actually did was I actually went and I created this in a Word document. It's my short bio, I call it. And I'm often asked to do talks, and the person wants to introduce me or whatever. And so, I created this for them to be able to do that. Okay. So I created it on a Word document. And then when I was finished with it, I did, a select all copy. And then I came into here and I just pasted it in here. So, so that I could put all that in there. So vice chair of risk management, I guess maybe I'm not the current chair. I don't know. I haven't heard from anybody in a long time. I'm gonna take that out of there. So obviously I can do this on the fly, and so boom, there it goes. Okay, so I was vice chair of their risk management committee, and then I've been on the executive committee for the CAR and the Legal Affairs Forum. I was chair for Realtor Risk Management and Consumer Protection in 2022, and will be chair of the Legal Affairs Forum in 2024. I'm very proud of that. I mean, that's they've asked me to run a whole room full of lawyers. How much fun can that possibly be? All right. So then other kind of stuff in there, and then whatever, there's some of the stuff the public won't even know what this is, but anyway, I put all that stuff in there. So good. I don't necessarily need to hit a save button. We don't really have one there. When I click my next button, this is all going to save this for me. Okay. All right. So then it asked me what links do I want to include on my page. And so I've included our company's link. If I want to add another one, I hit the plus sign, I don't know, put in whatever you're going to do. So, for me, this is our company's website. So I put that in there. I can also edit it here. I can also trash it, or I can print it if I feel a need to do that. Okay. So, I mean, I can't imagine how many, maybe your home snap page or something like that. I guess that'd be a possibility as well. I'm going to hit my next button, and now it says, okay, what about that phone number? I want it. And this is the office number, not my personal number. So, and the office number, as you can see, is really the same thing for me, right? Because I want people to get a hold of me. I don't want to give them 35 phone numbers. I clearly don't want to give them a mobile numbers, because I don't want them texting me. So secondary phone numbers, whatever, display the logo. I want to do all that. I click my next button again. I'm already up on number 6. For our purposes, I've checked all the boxes here. So these are the agent notifications. What actions will trigger an email auto notification for me, the agent? Okay, so I want all this stuff to trigger it. I did put down here only include comments in my Collab Center notifications if there are 50 or less. You can put in do not include comments in my Collab Center notifications, or only include if there are 100 or less, that kind of thing. And then down here at the bottom, I've got what does the client get to see? And so in my world, I want them to be notified clearly of a new listing, right? That makes a lot of sense. What about a price change? A lot of time we're seeing a lot of price. They don't want to call them price reductions anymore. They're trying to call them modifications or incentives or whatever. A million things for I took the listing too high to begin with, and so now we're going to adjust the price, usually in a downward direction. Okay, usually. Sometimes they go up. They get 35 offers on the place and they weren't happy with that, so they raise the price and then sit on the market for 6 months. So notify on a status change if it goes from active to pending, or pending back to active, something like that. For the client, I don't really care if the initial photo or the open house. I don't want them going to an open house on it without me. Notify on the tour, notify on comment added by the agent. I don't need them to necessarily see that. Then I click my next button again. I'm already up at number 7. We're almost done just with the wizard, okay? And then I'm going to get into some really fun stuff for you. So I've checked the box that says new only. I could disable it altogether, but I want to, obviously I want it to be new only because I'm setting up the wizard. For the individual client, I'm going to show you how to disable them if they found a house, or if you don't want them to get stuff anymore, or they want to take a break or whatever. And so search classes, I want to show, residentials, 2 to 4s, lots of land, and residential rentals. And I mean, you could always do the commercial stuff as well if you're if you're doing commercial transactions. I have a young man in Linda's office who is taking a commercial listing, and obviously I do commercial transactions and in fact trial work on commercial transactions. And so I will assist him in that transaction. So that's what I do. I help people. Searchable status, again, I've checked pretty much everything. I want them to be able to search for everything. I don't want them calling me on the phone and saying, I see this property, but it doesn't show up. It's like, well, it's going to show up because I've checked all of the fields. Okay, and then I'm going to hit my next button. And at this point, this is the 8th page. But at this point, the AVMs are the value models, right? The agent value model displaying in the detailed view in Collab Center. And so I chose to only do the realtor valuation model because that's what I am, and the others brand other people. And so I don't think we need to do that. I think my client doesn't need the distraction. So I only check that one in particular. Then I'm going to hit my next button, and it's going to take me to the grand finale. The congratulations page are all set up. Preferences would have been that next wizard, which we're not going to do here today. Okay. All right. And again, I may just do little snippets on each of these and post those on our website, for others to see, or for you to see at a later time. So I'm going to hit my close button. And so let's talk about now, how do I create the Collab Center? So, first of all, the easiest way is to create the contact first. Okay. Now, you can create it by creating a search, and then instead of saving it as an automatic email, you can save it as a Collab Center. But I'm going to show you from the perspective of going to the contact first, because that is the easiest way, and it also makes it so that you can make changes later and know where they are. All right, so let's do that. Let's go over here where it says contacts, and I'm going to click on contacts, and inside of contact, I'm going to get a couple of options here. Okay, so one of those options, of course, is adding a contact, which I want to do. The other one is view or manage contacts. And then I can manage groups. I can actually create groups of people that are all getting the same thing. Sometimes I've got 2 or 3 buyers for the same product, and so I may go ahead and put them into groups, or I may go ahead and label them as A buyer, B buyer, C buyer, based on their necessity to purchase, okay, or sell, by the way. And so again, as I said earlier, I can also set this up for the seller, and I'll show you how to do that. But setting it up for the seller is kind of neat, because then the seller can see the activity in their area. They list their house for $1 million. You're shaking your head going, this is a $900,000 property all day long. The seller says, well, let's see what we can get. I got plenty of those war stories for you. And then another property lists on the market for $900,000, and of course that one's going to sell first, normally, right? Because if it's the same, model match, as we say, then it's probably going to sell before the $1 million one does. Why? Because the buyer's thinking, I'm getting a $100,000 price incentive by buying the lesser priced property. So I don't know. In my experience, my sellers all think that their places are worth more than I do, and yet I'm the expert that they hired. And so on the right-hand side, you see some resources. We'll talk about reverse prospecting. And then, oh, by the way, there's that little field over there that says sent messages. And so if you've ever wondered where all those messages are that you sent out of this MLS, especially for risk management purposes, right? There it is. It's under contacts. And so all your sent messages will show in there. And if we have time today, I'll pull that up for you really quick too. So going back to my home page here, down here in the lower right-hand corner, I see my contact activity. So I don't have any active contacts in my collaboration center. I don't compete with our agents, so I don't set those people up. You don't have anybody in there. I use it more for demonstrative purposes, but this is where you would see their activity. You would see their comments if they had any searches that they created. And then for sellers, I will see this and say, well, I have a couple of sellers, only because I'm showing up as the co-listing agent on these. And these are listings that other agents in Linda's office have asked me to help them with. And so I go in there and I periodically review them, make sure they're DRE compliant, no fair housing issues, NAR compliant, MLS compliant, things like that. Okay. All right. So any questions so far? Always my excuse to get a drink of water. Okay, all right. So that being said, let's go back up here to contacts, and I'm going to do, let's take a look at view manage contacts. So you can just see I have this short list. I've deleted a bunch of them. A short list of contacts that I've created. You can see that a couple of these are from 2014, so I think they're kind of dead in the water, so to speak. I do have one that accessed. I created in 16. They finally accessed it in 17, a year later. So I don't think that they were incredibly serious about their purchase, but that's just the way it is. So I can go over here. I've got my plus sign which says add a new contact. I can delete, I can check boxes and delete contacts. I can save it to an Outlook file or to a Google Sheets file. I can also export my list. I can print my list. And then finally, I can put labels on people, right? That kind of thing for those of us who don't mind profiling. So I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to click my plus sign, which says add new, and it's going to give me this screen. Now, folks, really seriously, I promise you, you are going to love what this does. Okay, so I'm going to save this. Right now it says active. Okay, and people call me up. My client told me to take me off the thing for now. They're going to put it on hold for a couple of months. And so this is where you go to make it inactive, right? So that puts everybody on hold for a period of time. Okay, so you would just check that box and say inactive. That's all you have to do. Now, remember, again, there's a save button up here on the top. So you got to remember to hit that button. Okay. I'm going to go back to my active. And so remember how I chose the box that says new only? Well, there it is. I could disable it. I could do agent preview. I can do those kinds of things, but I'm going to leave it as new only. Now, there's only a couple pieces of information that I need in here. And frankly, try not to make yourself crazy where you're trying to fill this whole thing in like a spreadsheet, because most of it doesn't do anything. So we'll start off with the name. So, that's the red field, it's a required field. You see, there's only a couple of required fields. So I'm going to put in, Nancy, and then I'm going to go last name, and it'll be, Krabu, and Rot, which is, was one of my tenants back about 40 years ago. And so I will put that in there. In fact, I know I've spelled the name incorrectly. So none of the, all these names are fictitious, they're intended to protect the innocent. And by the way, this is being recorded. So again, I will load this up later on. But anyway, so we're going to call her Nancy Krabuenrod. And so at this point right now, there's really nothing else required. But I'm getting the sense that if I'm going to make this useful at all, I need to put in an email address. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me see, what program am I in? Okay, so I'm going to go in here. And I always ask the client, I always say, do you want me to send, I get a business card from them. I don't give them mine. I get theirs first. And then do you want me to send emails to this address? And they, oh, no, let me give you my home email address. So I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to type in, what's a good one? Can I get it off of here? Okay, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that in there. And I'm going to make that the primary. Okay, so that's going to be the primary address. So we'll be able to access it actually from this program, the same screen. Good, you can see it. Okay, I could put in the rest of this stuff, but I'm probably going to save them in Outlook or something anyway. But I could also have a spouse or a secondary person. And again, so if they have a secondary name, then it would be, Bob, Krabu, and Ron. And oh, look at that! I'm going to spell it the same way. I did it. Look at that. That's crazy. What a memory. Made it all up. Okay. And then they can have an email address as well. And so I can fill that in there and I can make them the primary. Do I want to add them to the notifications? And chances are I do. So if I check the box, it's not going to let me get out of here without putting in an email address. And I'm just going to run out of email addresses. And by the way, I put in my personal email address up here. Do not send emails there. I do not check it very frequently. In fact, I go in there frequently. It's a Google Workspace account, so it's pretty secure. And I literally go in there and just auto delete a lot of stuff. So I always send it to my business address, my Kevin@BurkeRealEstateConsultants.com. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to fill in their email address because like I said, I'm running out of email addresses. So address information. So contact request privacy, so it won't appear on mailing labels. I don't know why you would do that, but okay. We do have the ability under CRS tax to create mailing labels, and that was a class I did last week. Internet stuff, if you want, instant messaging, whatever. Going back over here to the right-hand side again, I don't know why you would fill all this out unless you're just trying to keep everything in the same place. And then manage the contact. So who are they? So we're going to call them a buyer. Where's my buyer? Buyer. And we're going to call them a seller. So now I've managed them, which meant I've created a field for them. And then reverse prospecting is kind of cool. So I'm going to put in reverse prospecting. Reverse prospecting, so when an agent puts their listing in the multiple listing service, they can go into reverse prospecting and they can find out whether or not there's anybody out there that has a buyer registered in the program that is looking for features that their property has. So it allows them to go the other way rather than me going in and doing a search for properties for my buyer. They can put their listing in there and they can see right away that I have a buyer that needs their listing. Okay. And so, so here's the thing. So I'm not going to, I do reverse prospecting all the time. I love the feature. And sometimes I miss stuff, I missed that one days where the emails that went out and then all of a sudden I'm getting that call from the agent who says, hey, guess what? You've got a client for my new listing. I'm like, oh, great. Let's do a deal, that kind of thing. Okay. So, but they cannot see my client's information. That's the important thing to remember. All right. So, but I got to give it a fictitious business name. They're going to, sorry, too many law classes. So I'm going to give it an alias. Okay. So allows agents to match properties to this prospect. Your name and prospect's alias name will be displayed in the search results. So again, whatever you put here. So I'm obviously not going to put, Nancy Krabuenrod in there. I'm instead here. I'm going to call it Sandra. Okay. So I can create a name that I'm going to remember for purposes of maintaining contact, right? But they're never going to know who Sandra is. There's clearly, I don't want to put their full name, their phone number, and all that other kind of stuff. And that'd be kind of crazy. And then source, and so where did I get them? So you would check this box and gives you a bunch of options in here, and then you can always put in information about the contact. Again, I don't know why you would do all that, but okay. In fact, really, you don't even need to do buyer seller, but all right, it is. So again, remember what I said earlier in the very beginning, I've got that little search button up here at the top. I'm going to hit my search bar because I want to save the contact. And it says, would you like to associate a property to this contact? Now, when it says that, it says that it's that I have, this is where it refers to when I have a seller contact in here, because do I want to associate their listing to it? So we're going to say yes. I can say no, not now if it's only for a buyer side, but in this case, I've got a seller side of things. So, so it added the contact for me. We're all set. I'm going to grab a property that here I'm going to associate it with this property that happens to be in Santa Ana. that we have a listing on up there that is very pending at this point. In fact, I'm going to use that just as an example. And part of why I'm using that is because I am the co-listing agent, but it's going to send emails to the actual seller's agent in Linda's office. So, but he is going to be easy enough for me to explain to him why he's getting emails of the nature that he's going to be getting in a minute. Okay. All right. So I do want to show you this because this is really cool. So notice now, here I have my contacts. Over here on the left is my contacts, and I've added Nancy Krabuenrot. There she is. I can't believe I remember their name, but that literally that was from the 70s, so a long time ago. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look. So I've got, so it took me to seller listing, right? Because I associated the property with it. All right. And then over on the left-hand side, we're going to come back to looking at the activity, their information, their contact information, which we just created, right? And then the buyer side of it, because remember we call them a seller and a buyer, the buyer side of what they're going to be doing. And if I click the drop down, it has agent recommended, add a search. We haven't added a search yet. But this one here for sure we've created the search, but then we also have the the address in there. When I click on my CMAs, it pulls up any CMAs that I might have created on their behalf. Okay, so going back over here to the address, because I've got to trigger it. Okay, so I can click on view detail, which will pull up the whole detail of it. I don't really want to take the time to do that right now. I mean, if you want that property, again, we're pending, but certainly anything can happen, right? Okay, so down here I've got enable sell side site. And then I've got enable email report. You have to make both of those active if you want them to produce the results that you're looking for. So I'm going to enable the sell side site. This sell side site provides your seller with a live look at all activity associated with their listing. And again, this is Krabuenrot. And so boom, I'm going to say, yep. I want to give the seller the ability to see, only 2 people looked at it on the internet. I mean, this part's really, really cool. Okay, so only 2 people looked at it on the internet. This is my way of telling the seller, we had this conversation about pricing and you decided that you knew more than I did. And as I always say, if it's priced too high, we won't even get calls on it. We won't even have people looking at it. It's going to get very little traffic. We got to price it to sell it. And so that's how I always take my listings. I price them properly. Okay, everybody good? All right. So now I've enabled it, but I must send the welcome email. Okay, if I don't do that, it's going to tell me later on, we're not doing anything for you until you send the welcome email. So I'm going to click on send welcome email. It's going to pop up a window, which you can see, and it says send the link to the client. Now, who's the client? I'm the client. Okay, so my name, my personal email address. Okay, and so welcome to your collaboration center for sellers. Is everybody good so far? All right, and so I have a custom message in there that I created. Please let me know if I can help you in any way. Have a super day. And then there's all my DRE compliant information. My name as it appears on my license, my telephone number with the number 4 extension. And then I have the website in there. There's my branding. So that's my DRE and my NAR satisfied information. And then I've got our corporate DRE number, and that's that first number, and then my personal broker's number. Both of those are broker numbers. So obviously we have a corporate broker number, and then we have my personal broker number. So I need to put those in there. Okay. All right. And so then I can preview it by clicking the preview button. It'll pop up a window, and this is what it's going to look like. Now we're actually going to look at it. I want to show you live what this does. So I'm going to close that for now, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send that to the client. Now, remember, I had to send the welcome email in order to generate all of this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to close that, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to open up my email. I'm going to click on that, and that did not open my email. This will open my email. Okay, and there it is right there. Welcome to your collaboration center for sellers. Does everybody see what we're looking at? Can you see that? Yes, you can. Okay, so it's got my email. You talk about branding. It's got my email address, my business email address, my telephone number is up here. There's my handsome photo. There's my name, welcoming them to the Collaboration Center. They can click on view their site. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but first, here's my, please let me know if I can help you in any way. There's all that information we just talked about. Again, first contact for the Department of Real Estate. And then we've got the create a password. So it's going to make them create a password. It doesn't have to be really technical, but it's up to them. Again, the username is going to be the email address. So there that is. We've already created your username. See below. All you need to do is create a password. So I'm going to create a password. I click on the link. It pops up another window and it says, okay, so your name is Kevin at kevinandburke.com. Let's create a password. And so let's call it, I'm just going to go ahead and create it. See, hang on a second here. Okay, and then I'm going to click on register. You cannot use the previous 5 passwords. The new one must be at least 1 character in length. So they're not going into anything really super technical. So now it's welcome to the program. And so I'm going to click on the email address again. There it is. And then my password. And again, they can always have forgot password or whatever. I'm going to keep myself logged in. So I'm going to hit my sign in button. Yes, you can see that. Welcome to your Collaboration Center. That, folks, this doesn't get much easier, okay? So now, close that window, thank you. So then it gives me some tutorials, right? So up here I can close this, check for any comparable listings in your area. Your listing is down here. Contact your agent up here. So this is giving them instructions before they go forward. I'm going to hit my close button. So here I am. This is the Seller's Collaboration Center. And again, my whole goal here is to teach you the benefit of this, not just the how to do this. Okay. So again, I've got here's Nancy Corbuenrod. I've got my seller activity. I've got, here it is. I've got one list. They own one property. Here it is. Now, if they own multiple properties, I would put those in there. But in this case, they've only got the one. So I can see there's the price. There's the expiration date, which should not be in there. Yeah, by the way, December 31st is the most common expiration date in the MLS because a lot of people just don't want it to have a 2023 address when we get into the next year. Here we've had 14 views on the internet. No broker tours. It didn't need it. It was on the market for 17 days. There have been no open houses on it. We just priced this one to sell it. So, and this is again in Santa Ana, essentially right across the street from the courthouse. They could click on view detail to get the information, that obviously they already know what it is because they've approved it. And this says my listing views shows how many times your listing has been viewed by real estate agents and prospective buyers. So in the last 14 days, of course, none, because we've been under contract for all of that. If I go back 30 days, then I'm going to see a spike right here. And those are going to be the real estate agent view. Again, I would have my prospective buyers views, and then I would have price changes, if any. If I go back 90 days and hasn't even been listed that long, but you can see I've got prospective buyers looking at it here. And of course, the one looked at it and then it was all over at that point. Okay, prospective buyers activity. So not a whole lot of action there. Again, you wouldn't expect much under pending. Agents, we had 10 agents look at it. We had 4 prospective buyers look at it. And so I love the way they color code this. And then agent recommendations, the number of agents that have recommended your listing to their prospective buyers. So this is taking a lot of the heat off of you because it is having a direct communication, pretty much an AI telling the seller, here's the status of your listing. And yes, it's your fault. Okay. All right. So no real estate agent saved it in their search, no prospective buyers. Again, you would want that information if that was going to be the case. And then social activity, 4 views from email. You see that? Yes, 4 views from email, real estate agents that have viewed your listing via an email, and then no consumer comments, no real estate agent comments. Again, I would love to have that information if it actually happened, but in this case, again, it went under contract fairly quickly. So then I can look over here and I can click on my competition. And when I do that, it pulls up the other properties in the area that are for sale. Is that the coolest thing you ever saw? So it shows other properties, obviously priced quite a bit higher than that one. And again, they have other features associated with them that make them different. But if I go ahead, there's 5 of them here. If I click on those, then it breaks it down into even smaller components. So I clicked on the one, there it is, it's 345. 5 years later, my map will load. Again, I've got the hybrid map going on down here in the left-hand corner versus just the street map. So I'm kind of hoping that it would pull this up, but it's having a heck of a time. Okay, all right. So we're not going to focus on that, but anyway, that's what the competition's going to look like. And then up here in the corner, I've got their name. And I'm sorry, because I'm the client at this point. I can upload my own profile image, or I can log out. Over here on the left hand, and I can change this picture, by the way, for them. Like over on the left-hand side, I see seller site activity and log out. I wanted to show you that because now we're going to go back into the MLS and we're actually going to create the buy side of this. This is the really cool part about all this. And so again, here's the email, create the password, which we did. And then there's all the other contact information. So sold comps, active comps, things like that. I'll be able to do all of those things. The system will keep you informed about the activity related to your property. So great stuff. I like it a lot. Gives me an opportunity to sell the sizzle, as we say. So that's the email part of it. Let's go back into Paragon. And then here we are. And so this is the screen that we were on that said that we enabled. You got to send that welcome email. If you don't do it, none of this works. Okay. All right. Then I've got my enable email report, and that's a summary report sent out in the morning. It recaps all the activity related to your seller's listing. The weekly option will be sent on Thursday if you're going to do that. I go, yeah, I want to send it out. So I'm going to enable that. And then down here at the bottom, I can see, I got to move this out of the way, sorry. Client scheduling, select the frequency of the seller update emails. Right now, I've got it set on weekly. I could go to daily. I could turn it off. We'll get a lot of that during the holidays, coming up here pretty quick. I want to, just take a break for a while, that kind of thing. And this is where you would turn that off, or you can disable the thing altogether. But this is going to disable just the seller side. And then agent scheduling, select the frequency of the seller update emails on that versus client scheduling. Okay. All right. So we've enabled it. Don't have to send a separate email for that. That's already been done. So I've taken care of the seller side of everything. But again, I can remove the listing. I can go to my next button. My next button is just going to take me into the CMAs. Obviously, I haven't created any of those yet. More information over here. So I can create notes for the particular seller. I can that are going to be available to me. They're not necessarily shared. Then I've got my tasks, things that I need to set up to do. I've got documents, perhaps. I like including documents like maybe we do. I put in an RPA in there so that they would understand that they can go ahead and review it prior to us writing it, because they're selling their property, but then they're also going to get an offer on the RPA, and we're also going to represent them as the buyer to do they're going to need to know what that RPA looks like. And then financials, if any. I don't do that. I definitely don't want their financials in my file. Messages history is just going to tell me all the messages that I have sent them. Okay, how cool is that, right? So here it is. It's searching all of them. Well, obviously, it came to today's date from 3 months ago, roughly. And manually sent messages are retained for, what is that, 20 years, long time. Automated emails retained only for 100 days. So here, obviously, the welcome email was a manual email, and so the automatics would be the one that the system generates for them automatically. The system's going to notify them when other sellers come on the market in the area, okay? And then down here, if I want to send them an email, I've got my to field and all that kind of stuff, and I can do all that. And then finally, my contact summary. Here's all the information we saved about the particular contact. And so for those of you that are creating on at home right now or wherever you are, and you're creating your own, later on I'll show you how to delete it so that you stop getting those emails, because it can be a lot. So again, What else in here? Everything else is good. Okay, we're good. I'm going to go now back up to my seller activity. And again, I can associate another property. So I want now my contact information. If I click on that, here's that sheet that we filled out in the very beginning. The contact activity tells me what they've done. What they've done, what they've looked at, all of that. Now, obviously, there's nothing in there yet, but their search and things like that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this to the buyer's side, which frankly is probably what most of us are really looking to do. So buyer's activity. So this is them as a buyer, and I'm going to add a search. And so that's always the best way to do it. And here's why. I like the way of doing this. Now, again, I could have created a search first, but it's just such a long process that I am going to show you how to do it, but obviously we'll go through it a lot faster now. But here I am. I did add a search, add a save search, so I can either add a new saved search. I don't know why we threw add saved search in there, or I can load an existing saved search, which makes more sense. But I don't know why we're adding a new saved search. No, we're going to add a new search. That's what we're going to do. Okay. The other thing that I can do. So again, this wizard allows you to quickly build a saved search. It sets up a collaboration center website, and it enables email auto notifications for new and changed listings for you and your client. You can begin by loading a search that's already been saved or creating a new search. Okay, so I'm gonna create a new search, and so there's my windows popped up, all the ones that I've chosen that I'm interested in doing, and just as a note, if you look down here at the bottom where it says multi-class, that my client might be looking for property, not only residential, but maybe also 2 to 4 units or rentals, that kind of thing. For my purposes, I'm just going to click on residential, but if I clicked on multi-class, I'd be able to search for multiple classes. Okay, that's all. All right, so now here I am at the familiar search screen. Hopefully you all got this one dialed in, right? Can you see that? Yes, you can. And so it says begin typing the data you wish to select. You may also click on the magnifying glass to the right. So remember, anytime you see a magnifying glass, that means we're going to give you a list. So I'm going to click on the magnifying glass, and I can see there it is: attached, detached, modular home, manufactured home, mobile home. It gives me a whole list. Okay. The other thing I can do, which they're suggesting, is I can start typing in detached, and then as I'm typing, it loads the field for me. I hit enter, and it says, oh my goodness, in San Diego County, which is underneath that, see County, San Diego, there are 1,833 homes for sale. And I always tell my client, I am so excited. If we start looking today, we'll be done in a couple of years. And then they laugh, and then I say, well, obviously let's narrow that criteria down a little bit. And so how are we going to do that? Well, there's a couple of other things that we're going to do to nail down the criteria. So what are my zip codes? I can go by zip code. I can do by market area. There's a couple of different things that I can do. But so let's go ahead. I'm going to click on my search button again. And I have a whole host of, my client wants to live along the coastline. So we'll click on Cardiff by the sea. Let me see here, Carlsbad. When I first moved to San Diego many years ago, we only had one zip code in Carlsbad. Carmel Valley for sure. Again, this is them saying that, we want to live along the coast. There's Del Mar for sure. And we'll go to the next one. Of course, I can make this easy. See right here where it says 25, I'm going to go down and make it 75 so that now I can see, the whole thing without having to keep clicking the arrow. What do I have after this? Let me check. So I've got, I go back to when East Del Mar was, before it became Carmel Valley. Here's Encinitas. Probably not Escondido, not Fallbrook, La Jolla. Again, I'm just picking code. I'm sure you had this happen. So this is a way to do it. I'm going to hit the save button. It's going to pull up all of that. So in all of those zip codes, there are only 269 active detached homes based on my criteria. Now, the way I prefer to do it is I prefer to grab a map. You don't want to do both, by the way, okay? Because if you do both, it confuses the system. So I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to put in the map, but then I'm also going to delete the particular zip code. So again, in looking at my map, I see where's La Jolla? Down here. So I'm going to want to grab this whole area right here. So my mapping feature says draw, and I'm going to draw a polygon, and I'm going to put my cursor right outside of Carlsbad, right here at the 78. I'm going to go down to La Jolla, which is roughly the 52. I'm going to go inland. I'm going to include UTC. And then I'm going to go back up to the top, and then I'm going to click on that area right there. And then I'm going to finish off my map. Okay. I think the mapping feature is one of the coolest things we came out with. I remember prior to this, we used to print Thomas Brothers guide pages, and we would, Scotch tape them together. Now we can actually map it, and in fact, even create a driving direction program when we're going to show property to people. That'll be in my search classes. In fact, I've already done one recently. So if you go onto the YouTube website, you can pull up the one on searches where I show you how to create the map. I really, really like the mapping feature. You can see I've got 50 up in this area, 91 in this area, 46. So we're still going to have to do some limitations. But what I do want to do is I want to go back to the criteria. Does everybody see where I'm looking right here where it says criteria? I'm going to click on criteria, which takes me back to this page. And then because of that, because I now have a polygon, it conflicts with the zip code. So how do I get rid of all those zip codes? Go over here to the right-hand side where it says criteria summary. And right here where that X is, I'm going to click on the X, and it removed all those zip codes. I did not have to do them one at a time. Okay, so my criteria right here is, San Diego County, active or back on the market, listing visibility, the detached home, and then within that mapping area. Now, I want to add to this, and I want to show you why. Because mine says by default active and back on the market. But when I'm looking for property for a client, I'm going to hit my little hourglass there. I also want to see contingent, which means that the property is under contract, but there's a third party involved in the decision to sell. It's usually an REO or a short sale lender approval, things like that. So I don't want to rule those out. And then coming soon, of course, because I have access to coming soon, whereas those don't go out on the internet right away. So I'm going to click on that box. Now notice up here I have 271 homes available prior to me checking this. By the way, I'm also probably going to check pending. Okay, because I like pendings. Pendings are properties that are under contract, but I've sold many a home, folks, that were pending in the computer. I call the agent. I say, how's that escrow going? Well, we've been waiting for your offer. When your offer comes in, we'll get rid of the first buyer because they're not going to perform, but et cetera, et cetera. Sold many a home that way. So don't be shy. Make the call. I'm going to hit my save button and look at my 271 number goes up to, it'll be a higher number. It should be anyway, assuming the program goes, okay, there we go, 402 properties. So I'm going to add some more criteria. I'm going to get rid of that because remember, the program will only display 250. Okay. All right. So that being said, I'm going to go, where else am I going to go? Let me see, listing date. I only want properties that have been, what is this now? We're in October. I only want properties that have been listed within the last 6 months, okay? If it's anything older than that, then maybe there's something wrong with it. I hit my date range and I go 6 months back. So it's been listed in the last 6 months. And then now it's going to give me a count of only 380 properties. So I've nailed that down a little bit. And then price. Oh, gee, my client usually is concerned about price. Don't be showing me anything for $35,000. My car costs, that's a monthly payment on my car. So, only show me stuff from, let's pick a number, arbitrary number. I'm just going to throw it out there. So I only want to look between $1 million. And again, remember too many zeros. Remember the other trailing zeros are already in place. I want to look from $1 million to $2 million. Now, chances are your client is not going to have that wide a range. And what range do you look? I'm going to tell you, this is just, from experience. If my client's been pre-approved for $1 million, then I'm probably going to bracket it. I'm going to look from 800 to 1.2 million. Why 800? Well, because they can always buy less. And this, by the way, is the same principle behind my buyer representation agreement. I'll have 800 to 1.2 million. I don't want to make the range too big because then it becomes overbroad and potentially unenforceable. Okay. So I'm going to look for, so my client's been approved from, so let's use those numbers. I'm going to make it 800 to a million two. Okay, and so then I click on that and let's see how many there are, and that's going to probably not be really good at 24 properties. You see what I'm saying? So if it got approved for a million, I want to go on both sides of that. And why do I go to a million two? Because they just always seem to find money. Okay, or they tell me, I'm the lender is telling them this is what we'll give you a loan based on this, but then they find they've got a 401k or something like that, and then next thing you know, they're you're not showing them what they want to see. And if their taste is a million, or I'm sorry, if their price is a million, they probably have 1.5 million taste. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to do that. I've got 24 properties, and that's going to be very manageable. Bedrooms, they want a minimum of 2. Because they're empty nesters, and now my 24 figure is going to change again. Oh, no, stay the same. Okay, so it's at least 2 bedrooms, which is good. Okay, all right. So now I have my properties for them. I'm going to hit my search button. And my default search is set up in such a way that it is going to go to the grid. So again, remember, I could have started here. I could have started the search and then saved it to the Collab Center. It's just, there's too many hoops to go through. Start at contacts, add the contact, and then start searching. Okay, so now here I've got these 24 places. All right, so I can hit this button right here and check all of them. I can, and at this point, I can save the search. So I can either click to save it or add to cart button to save to your contacts. So add to cart would be, for example, that you have other properties. I was looking at a CMA around the property versus saving the search would be saving it as the buyer side of things. And then it says, what do you want to call it? I click the save search. I checked all of them. Now let me cancel that really quick, because I may decide that that these are not all of these are not necessarily appropriate. I'm not going to go through them and pick at them, but I can see here's 1.2 million, there's 850, so it's exactly in the range that I'm looking for. I don't see any that I want to eliminate necessarily. I am going to go back on, I am going to select all of them, and I am going to hit save search. Now remember, I can do other things in here. I could email it to them if you're crazy, right? Why are you doing all this? You're going to email it to them. Over here where it says collab link share, I can click on that, and then I can share a link. Okay, this is a shortcut way to do it. But there's my link, and then I can copy the link and put it in an email to them. Collab link is a user-friendly report that's viewable on desktops and mobile devices. Again, I can go here and I can text it to them. Okay, I remember I was in a board of directors meeting for SDAR last year. God, has it only been a year? Yeah, finally. Wow. So anyway, last year I was in the board meeting and somebody asked about how do you text your listings to people. And I was really surprised that nobody knew how to do that. Nobody in the whole room knew how to do that. And so I told them, I said, okay, I'm going to do that in my next search class, and I'll show you how to text. So again, remember, I don't text with clients. So I'm going to check the box that says text anyway, and it's going to come back and say, well, wait a minute, you don't have a phone number in there to text things to. So I can configure my settings if you never did add that phone number. And then here I am, I can go ahead and I can put my mobile number in there should I choose to do that. And the answer to that is no, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to get back out of that one. So obviously the texting to the client is not going to work, but the collab link share would. I can print it. I can change the fields. I can also sort. I can, with this button, I have actions, things that I can do. When I click on that, I can see a couple of things that I can do by default: create CMAs, create the buyer tour. And then finally over here, I've got my criteria, my toggles, my maintain listing. And here's my driving directions I referred to earlier. And so when I click on that, only the first 9, because after that you make the program crazy, right? And so here it does. I love the driving directions. I mean, whoever thought of this? Okay, so what's our starting point? I can start at the office. I can start at my home. I never click that one when I'm doing a demonstration because I just don't want people showing up at my home. I could click other, but this says office, so it'll start at my office address. And I want it to find directions by addresses. And here are the addresses over here. I could do a map pin location. I don't know why. I can also rearrange the order of the listings in Google Maps by clicking get directions. And so this is going to open. We used Bing for the longest time. Then we decided, nah, that wasn't working quite so well. I have some limited uses to Bing, but that most everything is on Google now. So it pulls up my Google Maps. It says, okay, we're going to start at your office, and all of these properties, all of them are located up in Carlsbad and Oceanside and Vista. So it's really a sad statement that the only thing available to a buyer in the 800 to $1.2 million price range that's a single family detached home is only in those areas. And that's just our housing affordability problem, right? So here they are. I can move the pins around, change the directions, whatever way I want to do it. Over here, I've got my, I've got my options available to me. When I click on that, I can avoid highways, toll. I don't know why you'd avoid a highway. You have to take you a long time to get there. And then I'm going to do automatic units. I'm going to be okay with that. I can also send directions to my phone because Google does know my phone number. So I can click on that button, it'll pop up, send them to this phone. Yeah, send them that phone, and then it's on my phone. So if you're doing that, that's great. And then this route has restricted usage of private roads, but this whole tour is going to be 1 hour and 20 minutes, and we're going to cover 38.2 miles. And then I can also explore around the Green Oak property, which is our final destination property. So scrolling in here for a second, again, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I can see that there are no properties until I get up into this area. I'm going to bring this down to the center of my map by dragging it down. I don't know why this computer's so slow today. That's really weird. And I'm blowing 5G here. So I'm going to scroll in just a little bit again. And there we go. There's Tanagra Drive. Over here is Friendly Place. And then I've got the rest of them. Notice how they're all labeled because I zoomed in enough to where I can actually see the labels on them. Okay, isn't that the coolest thing? I mean, this is just great. And so maybe I want to change it. Maybe I want to start from the other direction. I can do it by grabbing and dragging here, or I can do it by grabbing and dragging over here. Again, maybe I want Friendly Place to be the last one. But obviously I'm going to go past Tanagra to get to these. So maybe I go hit Tanagra first, then I hit these. So if I'm going to change that, I go right here. I just move Friendly down at the end, dragging and dropping as it were. And then that changes the whole dynamics of the entire thing. So now I go to I start off, that's going to be my end point over here on the left, end point. So I'm going to go up to here, go to Tanagra, go up to this little cluster up here, and then come back down a different route now to go to the one on Friendly. And I think that's a much better route. Okay, everybody good with that? It's really all the time I want to spend on that part of it. We're going to unfortunately run out of time. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? Sometimes I get questions about that are kind of interesting. So anybody see anything? We got memory usage 143 megs. Okay, so all right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to close that, which will free up hopefully some other space in here. In fact, let's close a couple of other windows. Do I have anything else open in there? Oh, yeah, my PowerPoint. Let me close the link to that. Okay, all right, so now I'm back to the individual properties, and one of the things I might have done would have been going through each one of them, and then for that I just go back over here to reports on the right, and then I click on agent preferred, and then it gives me each of the individual ones. And if I see this one and I don't want to add it, then I can uncheck the box. Then I can go to the next one, and I like that one, so I'm going to keep it. Then I go to the next one, and I don't like that one. I'm going to uncheck the box. And now all of this, I'm going to save the search. And now it says save search. So we're going to search name, save search for Nancy Krabuenrod. Okay, we're going to click on the save button and let's see what this does. I know what this does, but I'm going to show you, which is kind of fun. I like this class. This is a great class. Folks, you've got to be using this. My video is having problems. Whoops, that was not a good message. So it takes me into my, in fact, can I get rid, I don't want to delete the one page. It takes me into remember the contact activity? We added the search, save search for Nancy Krabuenrod, welcome message not yet sent. Remember, I've got to send that welcome message, okay? So, from here, I can remove the search, I can edit the search, I can view the collab center. We're going to do that in just a minute, okay? But why? From in here, if I view the collab center, then I'm viewing the collab center from the agent side of things to see what they are doing, okay? So just like with the associate the property, I can view the site by clicking on this, and this is going to give me the perspective of the site of what they are seeing, okay? And again, now I've added the buyer activity, so we're going to come back to that, and they now have the ability to do a search. So going back over here, because I need to finish this off, I'm going to go back over to save search for Nancy Krabuenrod, right? So automatic notifications, yeah, I want the collab center to notify them. I don't want an email. I don't want it off. I can click my options window. And so this is where I change my settings on when Nancy's going to be notified. So select a message body to include in your thing. So I can click on the message body, and then it's going to pull up a message, what do you want to say? And so we're going to just put something in there really quick, and I'm going to click on OK. And then notification date range. And so again, it's got a little question mark. Notification date range will affect both the client and agent notifications. And so I want it to begin today. Obviously, I don't want it to begin a week ago. So begin today and end 1, 2, 3 months from now at the end of January. Okay. So I don't know. For me, I'm probably going to have it end at the end of the year. Because the chances of them looking at the property, and all I do is I go here and I just do the previous month. It gives me December, and I'm going to have it end there. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I think there's going to be that window after the first of the year, even a window during the holidays that people are just not going to be looking. But that gives me an opportunity to start calling all these people up and saying, hey, what are we doing? You guys still looking? Just wanted to touch base with you. So my notification trigger, again, we set this up in the Collab Center wizard, price changes, new matches, and status changes, right? I can change it here because remember, we just set up a template. Now I can change the template. So I've got price change, new match, status change. I like those. I'm going to leave those alone. Let's leave those there. And then down here, client notifications. This is important. So if you put off, then they won't get any notifications. That kind of defeats the purpose of doing all that. I like getting them immediately. I don't check recurring. Recurring says, modify the time frame, and then, recurring every day, whatever, that kind of thing about the same one. I get it. But daily, every first day, every weekday, whatever. I don't think I should send them the same stuff every day. So anyway, here's my date range, and then my notified time. I like sending them at 5 o'clock in the morning because people are up, believe it or not. I'm clearly up at that time. And I get up at, actually, I was up this morning at 3 o'clock. So it's just kind of my thing. And so I like going in there, going through all the emails, finding out what happened between, 1 and 3 in my case today. So what kind of exciting thing? We closed a transaction last night, and now I'm trying to find out we were the buyer side, so the sparks are flying, all kinds of stuff. So agent notifications, I've got that immediately. I'm going to go back and put them on immediately. Again, here's my recipient's email. I can notify the spouse here because again, this is based on the template, and I may have different requirements for this particular person. So again, the only thing I've done that changed is really the date, making it 2 months. because I may want to set them up on a whole nother one. And I think 2 months is too long. I think you do it for a couple of weeks and then you circle back with them and ask them if they want to change any of their parameters. And again, I think you should call them on the phone. Sorry, I'm old school, but hey, I was selling 100, 150 homes a year. And so I don't know, that's a decent number. But I like talking to people on the phone. We had a guy who was doing 822 transactions a year, and everything was on the phone. Okay, rather than, I'll just send them an email. Like, that's so impersonal. So anyway, it takes me back over to where we were, Collab Center, days of history display one. How many matches? There are 24 properties, all new, of course. None of them have changed. They would change if they went pending or something like that. Send the welcome message. And so I'm going to click on send welcome message. It's going to say, all right, what do you want it to look like? Here's the preview of it. For some reason, I have really bad internet, even though I am blowing 5 gig. So here's what it's going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and hit my close button. This is what they're going to get. I mean, I want to show you this because I think it's really cool. Boom, email is sent. I'm going to close it. Let's go back up to my email. So we did do that first one. I'm going to delete that, and then it pops up in the new email. Here's the new one. Welcome to your Collab Center. We're going to click on that, and here's what the new one looks like. Very much like the seller side. This is the buyer side. They can click on visit the site, but again, they have to create their own password. In this case, I don't think they have to, because I think we've already got them under the same buyer, under the same seller. So 24 matches found. I can view the listing. We're going to actually go to the website and I'm going to show you, but they can click on the link here. Where the listings come from, well, we have undecided listings, and they have your agent may also send you specific listings that we recommend. We like that. What are categories? So we have favorites, we have possibles, we have rejects. Communicate with comments. I want to hear from you. You can create custom folders. I'll show you how to do that in a second. You can compare listings one to the other. And then there's my forgot password. And yes, the username is still the same. And then there's all my contact information right there. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to say visit the site. So now again, we're going to visit the site from the perspective of them as a buyer. Okay, well, again, remember, they were also a seller. So over here, I'm going to see, here's my seller activity. You remember that one? That was the one from before. Okay, and so we're going to go back to buyer activity now. And under buyer activity, I'm going to have 4 tabs I'm going to talk about. So the first thing we're going to talk about is going to be the listing activity. So this updates the dashboard. There are 25 updates, 24 of them are new. One of them has an open house. Okay, so I can click on the one and it'll show me where the open house is. All right, so this is the buyer looking at this. Okay, we're going to go in a minute. I'm going to show you what it looks like from the agent side. So via Baldona and Oceanside, nice looking home. Here it is. And then down here, it says it's been on the market for 76 days. So again, they're getting the regular remarks section, not the confidential remarks section. So it says this one's available as an open house. So I can click on this link, which says additional options for this listing. So I can email it. I can comment on it. I can request a showing. Again, I'm the buyer. Walk score, live mortgage info, start an offer, or make my new home. If I click on start an offer, by the way, this is kind of neat. It doesn't actually start an offer for them, but it notifies you that they are thinking about writing an offer. So what do they want to offer? They want to offer $1 million. There you go, $1 million. Notify your agent that you would like to start an offer on this property by filling out and submitting this form. This is not the offer. This is the notification of the agent that you want to start. And here's how much you're going to do it for, kind of like that iBuyer thing. Your agent will receive an email and contact you for further information. Closing date, roughly 30 days. Any other terms, sure, we'll put those in there. Make this my new home. It'll replace currently designated, and then we click on submit an offer. Okay, and so start the offer. Here it gives us the information. Confirm the offer. It is not a contract, not intended to create a binding agreement. Simply a notification of your agent to get things started. Click on confirm offer, and it sent an offer to my business email. But it shows here your listing has now been saved and can be found in the My New Homes navigation, right? Okay, that's cool. Okay, good. So that one's been saved. So it was an open house, but now it's saved as, here's the open house flag. So I'm going to click on that, loading the detail. So once I click on that, it says, here's my price range. Here's all the information it's going to give me. I've got my photos here. They can click on all the pictures from the MLS. This is why we monitor. Oh, there's a good monitor right there. Okay, this is a good example, and I'm not picking on anybody, but I always tell people if the sign is in the yard, we're going to redact the photo. So because there's no self-promotion in the pictures, and so in this case, you can see that we have software that will do that, and we're looking for that. So we just blank it out, okay? And so there's from the front. So this is the way. If the sign's already up there, then I'd probably take the picture this way, so you're looking down the sign. But you should probably take the picture before the sign is there. Our software is ugly. Look at this. Here it is again. It just leaves a blur. It's clear that it's being blanked out. And so, sometimes people do this on purpose. They put the listing in there on purpose with their sign because they want it to show up on the third-party aggregators and the syndicators so that people will call them directly. Well, your contact information is not supposed to be in the regular remarks. That includes photos. So, and again, that's a rules class. So, this is a nice house. It's got a lot of nice features to it, right? I could live there. Okay, I'm partial to wood floors. I'm not a big carpet guy. So I can go through all that and look at all those pictures. Okay, so and here's the slide showing all that kind of stuff. And then as I scroll down, I want you to notice that up here, photos in the map is up here. But when I scroll down, let's look at map view first. Okay, so here's my map view, tells me where the property is roughly. Then I can see my street view. What does the house look like on the street? Which is kind of a cool feature because I can move this all around and turn the house upside down essentially. Let's see, you're going to come back this way. Hello, come on. All right, now it's not going to work. Now we don't want to spend too much time on that. I'll zoom out a little bit. And then, I want to be able to see down the street is what I'm trying to do, but it's not letting me do it. Now it's letting me go to the other house. Okay, all right, so this is a disaster. Okay, all right. Anyway, I wanted to show you that. View on Google Maps probably be better. I'm going to scroll down because, again, I'm under photos and map. And as I start to scroll down, I see some of the other property information down here. This is why square footage is so important. So here's the remarks section that the agent wrote in the listing. Okay. Start an offer. Once again, if I want to start an offer price, and then when are you going to close it? Any other terms, make that my new home, etc. Here's my open house information. So it's open house today, 1 to 4. So it sounds like it's on tour today, not on caravan or not on open house to the public. Price reduced to sell. Okay, good. Then as I go down, even more property information is down here. That should highlight this up here. We'll see if it does. Request a showing. I have a lot of features in here that I can use that are really beneficial, but here's all the details about the property. And again, if I click on property info, it took me to that, which is why it's not clicking on those as we go. I don't know. So again, I'm scrolling, but here's the history of the listing. And so it was originally listed back in 2003, the first entry in August, and then something's wrong with that. But anyway, so then I have my the current where it is today. Current list price is $879. So back in 03, obviously, it was a lot less money. So here's my valuation models that I created. I can actually click on a mortgage if I want to, how much do I want to, again, this is the buyer's perspective. What's my monthly payment? If I offer them 879, I put 20% down, and it's a 30-year and 4%. Well, I don't think you can get 4% money anymore. So let's change that to, what is it, 7% money? I'm going to click on 7, and then I'm going to ask it to calculate the payments, and it says my payments are going to be roughly $4,681 a month. Okay, all right. And then my so my valuation, that's what this was. My mortgage center, that's what that was. And then finally, my community tells me a little bit more about the community. Daytime population, there's 53,000 people in there during the day. Average commute are 22. Anyway, days with sunshine, 68% of them. Median year of homes built in the area, 1985. Okay, all right, so good stuff. So scrolling through that, I can also click on schools. Remember, you want to be the source of the source, not the source. So you always want to refer them to the source for that. And this is going to go to the agency that creates the schools, school districts, the mapping feature. So you never want to quote schools yourself. They change, property boundaries change, things like that. This is all schools. I can look at private schools. I can look at public schools. In this case, again, all schools. I can show them on the map. And that'll make it a little bit easier for people to, if I can get my map to open up. Hello, map. All right, it's going to give me trouble. No map. Let's see. Click on the colic. Is that going to do anything for me? It's just going to have a problem with the map. Okay, we're not going to deal with that. Click here to view the website. Expenditure per student 14,000, and that's the elementary school. Okay, so and that's kindergarten through 5. Nearby establishments in the area. I've closed most of the windows. I don't know why I'm having internet problems. 5G. Okay, so here's nearby establishments, again, window cleaning, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Home values in the area. Here's what's been going on in the home values. Look at that. That's not incredibly exciting. Home sales trending. So a big drop down in the first quarter of 23, and they come back up, starting to level off again. And this is sales, right? So here is median sales price are the red ones, pretty much tracks the average. In this case, median, the average would be the mean sales price. And then here's the summary. So your client's getting all this information, and they're going to read it. They like this. Okay, so they get a lot of really cool stuff this way. Okay, everybody good with that? So that being said, I'm going to, there's a couple of other things I could do up here. Let me go back up to the top really quick. A couple other things your client can do up here. They can save it as a favorite by clicking on favorite. So now this listing is now marked as a favorite. They can make it possible. They can reject it. They can put it in a custom folder, and they can also click that button that says, start the process of buying that property. So I'm going to hit my X button. And so now when I look at my my chart for the buyer, I can see over here that one of them is saved as a favorite. The other 23 are still undecided. If I click on the undecided ones, I can go through them. So Nighthawk Way, no, I'm going to turn that one down. Via Allegra, I'm going to say that that's possible. And then Olympus Loop Drive, I'm going to say that's a favorite, but I can also compare 2 listings. So I would click on 2 of them. So there's the first one, there's the other one. And now I'll pull the 2 listings up. It doesn't allow you to do more than 2, but here's the differences between the 2. And so it puts them in there for you side by side, which is kind of a neat little feature. Okay, everybody good? I'm going to close out of that. And then I'm back over here. So, okay, so I think I've shown you most everything. I can look at thumbnails, I can look at tile view, I can look at map view of all these. Lots of good stuff in there. When I click on my map view, it should be roughly the equivalent of the map that we looked at earlier. So this list right here, good. I do. I kind of saved this for you that I want to take a look. I can look at recent sales in the neighborhood. So as the buyers tab here, I can see what other properties have sold in the area to determine whether or not I think this is a good value based on those. Uh, and Here they are, entered for comp purposes, sold off the MLS. So sold on the 26th. Here's one that's sold on the 1st. You see my numbers, et cetera, et cetera. I want to take us over here to property search, okay? And we'll finish off things from here. Oh, you know what we didn't do? Let's go back over to welcome to your collaboration center. No, we don't want that. We wanted in the MLS, back over here. Remember, we needed to send them, when we did our search, we don't need to send them a welcome email on this one. So because we've already sent them the welcome email, all right? But I want to show you this search from the buyer's perspective, and then I want to show you, I've got two other things to show you, and then we're done. So anyway, here they are. They're able to search the MLS completely independent of what you did. They can search in real time, better than they're going to get going anywhere else. This is essentially your straight out of the MLS. It's not even an IDX solution. So in here, you can see how many properties are there. There's 124,000 properties, because what? It's going to go all the way up into LA. So how do I want to fix that? Well, one of the things I can do is I can draw a custom shape. Over here on the right, I'm going to create the custom shape, and it's going to say I want to start here. Of course, is it going to work? No, it's not going to work. Not at all. Draw. No, not going to do that for me. So why did you let me do that in the first place? Okay, so I'm going to delete the custom shape, and it's going to retrieve results. They can do essentially what you've done. And then they can look at tile view, et cetera, et cetera. But again, this says draw the custom shape, but I don't know why it's not letting us do that. So and it could very well be the internet connection here. So I'm going to delete that. So anyway, some of the things we can do, we can look at price. We can do 800 to 1,000,002 again. We can click submit, and then that's going to knock these numbers way down. I think we saw what, 13 properties roughly. This says there's 1,075, but again, it's looking at, we want to look at 2 bedrooms or greater. I'm going to click on the 2-bedroom. I'm going to click that one on submit. Property type, I'm going to click on the property type residential. That's fine. That's what I want. Status. So when I look at my status, I don't want all of these. I don't want the solds. I mean, I'm the buyer, right? So I'm the buyer. I want to look at all these. I'm going to look at the pending. But I don't need the rented, and I don't need the off market. I don't need the expired. And so that's going to change my numbers significantly. Right now it's at 1,062. Now I'm going to hit submit. I don't even have the area defined yet. And look at that, there's only 9. So there are 9 properties in that area. Again, I can get a list of the results, and here's my list. A couple of them on Whaley Street. Here's one on Cleveland. Here's one on Kurtz. 2 on Kurtz, 3 on Cleveland. So and then there's even more. So we have a whole bunch of places in here that they're searching for, that they can search for themselves. So if they want to pull up the results, well, what else? So we did the price, we did bedrooms. We did the property. Did we do property type? Yeah, we did. Okay, we did property type. We did active. I can pull up more features, and so I think we've exhausted the possibility of that. So I'm going to go back, get out of that. Again, I've got 9 properties in here. They can save it. If they save it, what do you want to save it as? And I'm just going to create a search there. They're doing this, right? I hit my save button, and so now this will save the search for them. Okay. All right. So again, address, location. I've already seen that I've narrowed it down within a mile. So we're good. Again, that's going to give me 9 properties. And so if I click on the actual property, it will zoom in on it for me. And there's 2 of them in there. One's 1,000,002. When I click on that property itself over here on the right, I see I can save it as a favorite again. I can reject it. I can make it undecided. This gives me my options, make it my home, that kind of thing. I can view the details. So as the buyers are looking, they can see this property. That's not a bad property. That's kind of cool. They can see, again, all the information we saw before. I won't go through all of this because it's redundant. But anyway, there it is. It's all right there. All that stuff that we just showed you a minute ago. And I'm going to X out of that. And then that's how I save this search for myself, for the buyer side of things. Okay, everybody, we've covered all of that. Now I want to take you back over to, this is the email, right? Yeah, that's my email. Let's go back into Paragon. I want to see, I'm the agent. I want to look at what they're looking at. Okay, so I'm going to look, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to click on view the collab center. And this again is from my perspective as the agent, and it will show me all the things that they have done. It shows me they've rejected, it shows me they have a possible, they have 2 favorites. It shows me essentially everything that they have done in the collab center. Pretty neat little program. Also, your communications will be saved. So there's no open comments this time, but they could always put in a comment. Again, I'm the agent on this perspective. So if they put in a comment, I would see it. If they save something into a save folder, again, we're under the buyers tab. And if I remember correctly, we saved 2 listings as favorites, 1 as a possible, 1 as a rejected. And so those are my system folders, and then we didn't create a custom folder yet. Okay, so is everybody good with that? That's kind of a cool little feature. So again, I think there's 2 parts to this that are really neat. One of them is they actually get properties that they can look at, not have to, not lose them in an email kind of thing. They're actually able to see the properties live online in the collab center. But the second part, which is the cooler part, is they can create their own property search. Okay, and again, they just do this. They click on property search. They can go ahead in here and do it. They can pull up their saved searches. They can do all that stuff. Is everybody okay with that? They still have the drop downs over here, but as you see, what do we call those? Pancakes, I think we call them. And so now they have more stuff available to them than they had before. They've got a dashboard that they can go to, and that's going to be this page under buyer activity. They can go to the my searches to look at, here's the search that they created. And there it is, 9 properties. They created this search, okay? They can also, and again, I'm doing this from the agent's perspective. I'm looking at what they're doing, so I can see that. And then as they change things, when they create their own search, that's a heads up to me that my search isn't cut then. Okay, so then I'm probably going to call them up and say, hey, you got a new saved search in there. Tell me what that looks like. What was different from the original parameters that I gave you? Sellers activity over here. We've shown you all this. So I've shown you all of this. And folks, anybody have any questions? Again, there's a lot of really cool stuff. Some of this, I'm going to close some of these windows because it's killing my bandwidth. But considering how powerful this computer is, I don't know why it's doing that. But okay, I'll get rid of my email because you all don't need to see what I'm doing in there. Get rid of the seller side, get rid of the seller side, and then I'm back to my MLS. I can always resend the invitation. It'll say, okay, you want to resend it, and then I can do that there. That's easy enough to do. And then again, it's saving as I'm going. I can remove it, I can edit it, I can view the collab centers. Everybody good with that? Now, for those of you that were following along, knowing what it was that I was doing, I'm going to close Nancy, and I can see that Nancy's been active. So I'm back to my main window. Activity, so it says right here, Nancy's had new activity. I can send her an email. I can view the site where she is looking at everything. Again, that's going to pull up my collab center. There we go. I can see, because remember, she's both a seller and a buyer. I can see that she's got 24 matches. They're all new. It hasn't registered yet, the favorites and the possible and the rejected quite yet. And then it says that happened today at, what does that say, 10:55 a.m. And then it says the date added was today, and then the alias is Sandra. Okay, I think we've covered pretty much everything on that. Anybody have any questions on any of that so far? I am going to pull back up with my PowerPoint presentation. Again, I want to let you know I'm loading all this up onto the internet. It'll probably be this evening. So we'll set it up, Collab Center. I do thank you for joining us. And so I did want to point out the fact that I have loaded all of my webinars up into the YouTube website. So I created it. I had no choice. I had to figure out how to do it. And again, I'm going to start switching to podcasts. So get your QR code reader ready. There's the QR code if you want to go straight to it. Grab your phone. I'll give you a second to do that. Grab your phone, take a picture, your QR code, and I've learned how to do that too. Folks, if I can learn all these things, you can too. Anyway, that's the Collab Center. You can also go to @Burke Real Estate Consultants Inc. And that will also take you there. Obviously, our website is Burke Real Estate Consultants Inc. The Department of Real Estate has asked me to post my the pages, the general information pages for the DRE approved classes that I'm going to be teaching. So they approved me for my RPA for 5 hours. If you'll send an email to San Diego, send it to education@sdar.com and tell them, hey, we'd really like Kevin to do that DRE approved class on the RPA. It's 5 hours, right? So it's probably going to take a morning and an afternoon. And then I've also been approved to teach the buyer representation agreement, which is going to be the way to do things from now on. I just know it is. So I also created a bit.ly link. These all take you to the same place, bit.ly/real-estate-ed, ed being education. And then please remember, when you go there, please like and subscribe. And so I ask you to do that. I've learned so much with my research on all this that if you like it, it makes me feel good. I don't get a brownie or a donut or anything for doing it, but I do appreciate that you do that. If you subscribe, then what that does is the next time you log into YouTube, it will let you know if I've uploaded a new video. It doesn't send you emails and stuff, but it'll let you know if I've uploaded a new video. And so again, you want to keep that website in place because that's where I'm going to post all of my podcasts. So the first one is going to be done on Friday. That'll be the Department of Real Estate has asked me to do a podcast on the legal documentation, things you need in real estate transactions. So I'll record it on Friday. It'll probably go posted next Wednesday. The DRE, I love the DRE. I mean, what a great, my interactions with them have always been very, very positive. So anyway, that I'll be doing that. I've also got the prosecutor for the city of Huntington Beach. I will be doing a podcast with them where we're going to talk about a real estate transaction did not necessarily go the way it should have. And obviously the prosecutor's office. So there's going to be some criminal activities. I'm going to reach out to the FBI, the Department of Real Estate. I have a host of attorneys. We're going to have some really good podcasts. I'm hoping you can join us for those. They're going to be really, really good. I'm just and then I'm going to do podcasts on individual paragraphs of the purchase agreement. So if you always wondered what that liquidated damages provision meant, then boom, you're going to have it. When I teach it to the attorneys, it's a 3-hour class. You and I can get through what we need to know probably in 20 minutes. So trying to limit some of these things to under a half an hour. And so hopefully you'll be able to join us with that. So weekly email updates. So I do have an email blast that goes out. That will also keep you updated. I've got quite a few people on that email. I don't put you on there unless you ask me to do it. So send me an email. say, please sign me up for your newsletter. I'll sign you up for the newsletter, and it will keep you current on a lot of different things. Even the new forms that are coming out in December, I've got a link in there already of what we're looking at those new forms to be. So, if you want to have a heads up, I always figured I don't need to know more than everybody else. I just got to be 6 months ahead of the curve of what's happening. So I want you to do well. And as I always say, if you look good, you make me look good. So I really want you to look good, folks. Okay. So again, I'm here to help you. Anything I can do for you, send me an email. I am happy to be involved. And I do a lot of consulting for a lot of brokerage firms. And I'll do these presentations for your specific brokerage if you want. So just let me know what works for you. Okay. That's the deal. I want to thank you all for being here. And are there any other questions? If not, I'm going to let you run. I will be back at 2 o'clock, and I'm going to be doing the fast stats, which again is one of the coolest little features. That it's a free feature that SDR has created for you, where the answer to the question, how's the market? There it is, and that's kind of a good summary. So anyway, seeing as there aren't any other questions, as we say from my hometown of Del Mar, I look forward to seeing you around the track. Take care, everybody. Thank you for being here today. Have a great day. Whoops, somebody got one in there. Thank you so much, Tyler. Anything I can do to help you, please let me know. Thank you again, everybody. Take care for now. Be good. Be safe. Bye-bye.